settings. Hello, everybody. Just give me 1 second to organize my microphone. No. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Yes, let me take out this one. I see 19 of you. Let me see if everybody. Who else is connecting? Hassan. There you go. Hello, hermanos.
Hi, everyone.
Hello, Lucas.
Hey.
Hi,
Morning, Lucas. I'm listening to Are You Mine? I haven't listened to the song in such a long time.
Yeah,
Very happy about it, dude.
right.
Do you think Arctic Monkeys are ever going to release another album?
I honestly don't know.
Yeah, me neither.
I've lost the plots.
I quite enjoyed Tranquility Base Hotel, not as an Arctic Monkeys album, just as like an interesting like musical experiment for them.
Yeah,
But now I really want them to just go back to their original like fluorescent adolescent roots, or
yeah,
and then just get like really, I don't know, 2000s British boy grunge.
yeah. That was cool, wasn't it?
Or punk, like pop punk 2000s. Yeah,
I think they've lost the British character over time.
they have.
They moved to States for a while. They then came back, and it wasn't the same.
They don't have that same like lads out on a pub night kind of feel anymore.
Yeah, definitely. Totally agree with that. So I wish they came back to the previous form, but I don't think that's possible, really. Good old days.
So, okay, we're 32. Let's wait a little bit until we reach 35 and start. Keep going, by the way. It's quite interesting to hear about Arctic Monkeys. I actually have the song Do You Want to Know as a iTunes purchase.
Okay. Actually bought it?
Yeah, I'm old school. I keep a list of my tracks that I actually purchased.
Wow.
Cool. Yeah, I'm like obsessed with music, so I'm probably gonna spam you with music every now and again on the random.
No, that's cool.
I saw it random, and I was like, that is actually a really nice thing to get in the mornings. Just like diversify my general listening habits.
Yeah, share your music, peeps. Share your music. That's a good thing to do, really.
Sinead O'Connor. Well.
So, okay, we're 34. Let's wait for one more. So let me see. I think that everybody's here. Just give me 1 second. Let me close all the windows that I have right now. This one, let me close this one. I put this one halfway. There you go. So 34 still. Let's wait 1 more minute or, and we start 9:05 sharp. By the way, today we're gonna divide the, okay, we are 35, so we are ready to start. I'm gonna divide this lecture in 2 blocks. The first one, I will not even open the slides, is we're gonna start with the step-by-step of the CV. I have the file just as we ended on Monday without any CSS. During this code session, I will need to add a couple of HTML tags, but you will see why when we reach the point, especially to make the columns and so on and so forth. And in the second half, we are going to start with the first lecture of JavaScript. I think that we can cover all the topics I want to cover in 3 days. So we are not, besides this live code session, we are not behind schedule. So yep, let's get started. So you can see my screen right now, right? Both the browser on the left and Visual Studio Code on the right.
Yes, sir.
Perfect. I'm working on the Git project. You have the link. I created a new branch called Live Coding because I literally took out every single tag that was from the finished project. You can see there is no training wheels, there is no fonts, there is no custom CSS. In fact, I even delete the CSS folder, and the only thing that we have is a single index HTML element and the image folder for the profile picture. So we are literally as empty as we were on Monday. So you can see the work experience section, the education section, and the content information. So with all in mind, let's get started. Let me hide the Zoom window just a bit. So first things first, we need to create a CSS, the CSS files. So I will create a single folder called CSS. Inside the CSS, I will create a style sheet called style.css. A style is the convention from the first file. There is a difference with it in the HTML, where you actually need to write the name index so the browser knows which of all the pages that you have in your folder is the first to open. In the CSS, there is no rule, hard rule like that, but there is a standard convention that you should name your file, your first file, your entry point style, so people know which file open first in case that they see a bunch of CSS files. So let's connect this one quite quickly. You know, link tag, style sheet, real style sheet, and href, dot notation, CSS, style CSS. We don't see anything, and that's on purpose because, of course, we don't have anything. But let's check real quick if it's working by just adding a background color red. Perfect, it's working. So we are done. Our first step is done, adding the CSS file. Now I want to import the fonts, so I will go to Google Fonts. The font that I'm using in this project is called, I think it's called Gothic A1. There you go. You can use whatever font you want. That is okay. That's okay. I'm using the weight regular. By the way, in graphic design, regular is the normal font size, and this one are the different weights. It goes from 100 to I think it's 900. There you go. So each one is a little bit lighter than the previous one. So I will use the normal one. Regular is normal, and I will use also the bold one, the 700. Now you can see on the right, there is a panel for embed or importing the fonts in your project. You can use any of those. In this one, I will use this one. There is absolutely no difference. It's a matter of preference whether you import your fonts. So I will add a comment, import font from Google Fonts. There you go. You can see that they also have the real style sheet because I'm actually importing a CSS file, and this CSS file has information for importing the font. And you can learn a little bit more if you press Command click on top of this file. Now let's go back to the project. Of course, you don't see anything. You don't see anything because we only download the fonts to our folder. We need to tell the machine where do we want to display these fonts, and let's start doing that. I will start. I will do something quickly, like for example, body, font, family, and I can choose the default fonts in case that the font for some reason doesn't download. I can specify a set of default fonts. In this case, I will use something that family, something close to Arial Helvetica. They look way better than the Times New Roman that the browser uses by default. And to import the font that we actually just called, we write the name in quotes, Gothic A1. Let me see, what is the correct name? Is Gothic A1, let me see. It's supposed to be this one. Oh, I think I needed to add a comma. Yep, there you go. By adding the comma, I actually fixed it. Let me show you the difference without the Gothic A1 font and without the font. So yeah, this is definitely not Arial. Now, next step, let's organize this. Let me open the finished project. Just 1 second, so we can go back and forth. And let me see, this is Bitbucket. I can close the font system because we already solved this issue. I think it's this one. Perfect. I think I also have it in tiny cc/Eduardo. This is not it's tiny cc. Let me open just the project from Bitbucket. What is it? Oh, yeah, I actually have it stored in Firebase, so we can open the link from there. Firebase.com. By the way, if somebody's confused with what I'm doing right now, I'm literally trying to open the finished project so we can see what is the stuff that we need to do. So let me see. This is not my Cotejo account. This one. CV test. There you go. Oh, the iteration was another one. So, okay, this is the result that we are trying to achieve. I will put this in a second monitor, so I don't need to go back and forth to switch the screen. Just give me 1 second. I will put it on my second monitor. So, okay. So right now you still see. You can still see. Let me minimize this one. You cannot minimize this one where you are recording this meeting. Interesting. Okay, there you go. So you can see on the monitor, you still can see the Visual Studio Code on the right and the browser on the left, right? Yes?
Yes.
Perfect. So, okay, I have a second monitor just for full disclosure, and in the second monitor, I don't have a CSS file or the result file. I only have the web page, so I can see, okay, I have a black border, I have the text aligned on the left, so don't think that I'm trying to just copy paste the answers. No, I just opening in the second monitor the final design so I can see what I need to do next. Just so we're clear that we are actually building this from scratch. So I'm seeing in the final result that I have my image is aligned to the left, and that I have a black border. So let's start working on the header first. Let me see how this looks on the mobile. Okay. So my first step is to focus only on the header. And because I want to organize my project, I want to create a new CSS file just for the header. So I will create literally a file for introduction. Introduction dot or intro dot CSS. And I will write a quick comment that this file will take charge of the design of the intro part of the CV. And to make the comment, just press Command/. I will import this file. How do I import files inside another file in CSS? I press the add symbol, import, and then I using always remember to put the semicolon, otherwise Visual Studio will go crazy. And to know that this file is correctly connected, let me do, for example, again another quick test: body, background color, and this time I will put yellow. And there you go. It changes. That means that the files are correctly connected. So I will work all my code related to the header here. I can minimize this one. And I will make this window even smaller so we can have a space for both the HTML and the CSS at the same time. So I will put this one on the right. Perfect. So this is my main file style, and then I will work on the intro. I can make this one a little bit thinner. And okay, let's start. Luckily, we actually write some comments on Monday, so it's easy to understand which part is the introduction, which part is the entire content, and the content can be subdivided into, for example, if we can say this is section number 1, this is section number 2, and work experience will be section 2.1, and education will be section 2.2, because this is the heading 2, and this is a subheading inside this section, and this and so on and so forth. And the same with education. So content, perfect. And now finally we have the content information. So let's start with the header. I will add a class introduction just so we can organize it better. So the header will have a class introduction. And why I add a class introduction in the CSS like this instead of targeting directly the header? The answer is, if I go directly with the tag, and in some part of the project we add a new section, and inside this section there is a small header, any code that I wrote inside the header will affect the other header in the project. So I want to tell the machine that I have a specific section called introduction, and it doesn't matter if I create another header here. I don't want to affect this one. I only want to affect anything that has the word introduction here. So that's why I do that. Now here I see that I need to put a circle in the image. So first let's start working on the image itself. Same trick or tip like just the last one. I can go directly to affect the EMG tag, but because in the future, if I put a second image, all the code will be affected that one as well. I want to add a class just to focus on this particular image. So I want to use introduction, and then I press a space and say avatar. Again, why I use introduction.avatar is because if I put another image here, for example, if I copy this one, I put it outside the header, and also calls avatar. Let's see what happens if I just do avatar itself. Avatar opacity 0.5. As you can see, both images get semi-transparent, and I don't want to affect any other image outside my header. So if I put introduction space dot avatar, what I'm trying to say to the machine is first enter the header tag, and then apply this style to any tag that has the avatar itself. So basically, you are scoping the project. It's like when you are using classes in Java, so you don't affect the rest of the project. So this is a way that you can organize your project in the way that it avoids the rules of the CSS apply across the document and only focus on a specific part of the document. So with that in mind, I will start by making the, let me delete this image. I will make the image rounder. Remember that we have the border property, border radius. And if you put a value super high, for example, 500 pixels, the border will become so round that you actually just make a circle. So this is a nice trick to make your border, your images rounder. Literally put a value super high. Now I also want to add a border. So border, I want to add the color, solid, maybe 4 pixels, and I want to tell that it's black. Maybe I want to make it even thicker, the border, so I will put 6 pixels, perfect. I will make the image smaller as well, so I will use the property width. And I want the size to be, let me see, 96 pixels. For me, it's a little bit too small. Maybe I can set up for 120. Yep, that's good enough. Perfect. Now I will put the design just for 1 second in the main monitor. You can see that the image is centered, and I made a mistake of not centering this one, but I will center this one as well, and these ones stay aligned to the left. So let's do all the following steps right now. I can tell introduction to align the text to the center, text align center. And you can see that my image, my title, and the subtitle are perfectly aligned. But the problem is that these two paragraphs become aligned to the center, and they are actually important reading text. I really want that to be aligned to the left. So how do I solve this? Simple. If I only want that this particular part of the introduction is centered, I can wrap it up, these 3 elements, inside a div. So I can, instead of adding the center to the entire introduction, I can apply the center alignment to only this particular element. So I will wrap it up these elements, this one, and this one, inside a div. So I will put a div. And I want to add a comment. So wrapper div to center content. Perfect. I will delete. I will add a class center, and I will delete this this line, and I will create the same trick that I have with the avatar. I will create a dot introduction dot center, and I will put text align center. And perfect. Only this part is centered because I only attacking intro. I tell the machine go to the class introduction and then go inside the class center, and I only affecting these particular elements. Perfect. Next step is to make the word project designer look uppercase. So in this one, I have a P called subtitle. I think on Monday I did the trick with this one, BR, and then I put it in a span inside here, project designer, like that. But now that I think about it, I think I can use a P and just change the subtitle to make it less messy because we were adding too much code inside the h1 tag, and that's like it was quite messy. So I think that everybody agrees that having two separate tags for this line and then for this line, it makes more sense. So again, I will target the subtitle by using introduction.subtitle. And I will say text transform, uppercase. We saw that one yesterday, remember? We also saw that to make the text bolder, it was not font style, because font style only has normal or italic. Because we want to make it bolder, we use another property called font weight. And in this case, remember the numbers that we saw in the web page in Google from 100 to 900? This is the designer way to actually say, this is an ultra thin font and this is an ultra bold font. But we don't care right now for that. We just want to make it a normal bold. I think I picked the 700, and there you go. It started to look better. I want to make it color gray. Color gray. This is not a shade of gray that I want. I want a particular darker shade, so I will use a hex notation, and I think it's CCC or DDD. No, this is whiter. This is still whiter. Let me see. I think it's. Let me see. CCC should be. This is a light font. Let me just remember for 1 second. If I go FFF is white. If I go to the other end, okay, I need to use lower numbers. There you go. Too dark. 666. By the way, that's a extremely coincidence. Do not think about that one. But yeah, anyways, this is a perfect shade of the gray that I was looking for. Now we start to see something that we are gonna see along the project. What happens if we need this color used across the entire project? And then the client or somebody, or you choose to change the color. So this kind of information that we are pretty much so sure that we are gonna use it across the entire project should be on a variable. So let's organize the project a little bit. Let's refactor a little bit and move this one. Move this variable. Convert a refactor to a variable. Refactor to a variable. I think that everybody knows this term. We probably see it in program foundations. But if you don't, refactor means taking a break from your current project and improve the organization so it's easier to develop in the future. So this is what I'm gonna do right now. I will extract this value, the color 666, and put it in a variable inside the CSS folder so I can call it everywhere. So let's create a new file. I will call variables.css. Perfect. Inside the variable, you need to put the variables inside. If you want to make it global, you need to put it inside a special container called the root. And inside the root, you use the double dash notation. And in this case, will be color gray. And color gray will have this color 66666. There you go. Perfect. So I create a variable for the colors. I can actually even add comments. Colors. And the reason I'm putting these comments is because near in the future, I will also use, I will handle the space or margins in this case. I will use margins in this project as well. I know it. So I'm preparing that as well. So how do I connect these variables to the project? Remember, you go to styles. And I will put it on the top because otherwise the introduction will not see the variable because the variable will be declared after the the introduction, and then thus introduction will not be able to see it. So we are going to import variables variables.css. Perfect. And now let me test if it's working correctly. I just put any color to replace the one that I have here. And to call this one, remember, you need to call a function called var. And then pass the name of the variable. I think it was color gray. And there you go. We know that it's working. And let's move to the next step. I will make it the fonts a little bit bigger. Font size. Oh, sorry, font size. I wasn't speaking about that, but I didn't see it. You can choose these predefined sets, or you can use a percentage, for example, 50%. Don't do that. Don't use percentages. Use fixed sizes, like, for example, maybe 18 pixels. Maybe a little bit bigger, 21. No, it's too big, maybe 18. Perfect. Now, you remember when I was telling you that you can reach like 1,000 lines of CSS code, and I was not joking. You already saw that just to make this element with this design, I actually have 4 rules. That means that you can have an element with 20 rules, and so it's time to organize a little bit this. We can organize this in alphabetical order. For example, I can put color, then fonts S, font ST, and then the F goes first. So it's easier to find out the rules that you're using in your project. So for example, you can organize it in alphabetical order. And let's do the same here. Let me organize this one. I know that is annoying, and I know it's taking time, but remember, if you're working with a fellow developer and then he needs to read your code, if he realizes that your code is organized alphabetically, it will be easier for him or her to read your code. It's super important. Remember, we're going to have a group project at the end of the after this module. So you need to start thinking about not only about yourself, but your teammates that are working in your project. So try to organize your code in a way. There's other ways to organize the CSS code, but you can start researching about that. I sent you already a link called Atomic Design. I hope that you have read it by now. If not, read it today. That have even better tips to organize your CSS code. So right now, the project looks good. I see something important. If I go back and put my, I show the design in the full screen, I realized that there is a super wide margin here. And that doesn't affect only the header, it also affects the rest of the page. So that means that I probably, I need to create a CSS file that targets the entire web page just for a couple of general rules. So let's do that. By the way, I think it's easier for you guys as well if I put the finished design here instead of in the other monitor. So this one, the one that has a small window is the finished project, and the one on the take the entire width of the browser is the project that we're building. So let's start with creating a new file called share. We are gonna try to apply some rules that affect the entire web page. So I will create something called share.css. And I will add the name called the description, and I will add a comment for this one is this file has CSS rules that affect the entire web page. So this is a tip. If you have, for example, a website that has more than one page, for example, like the one that we are actually going to build as a project, you can put all your share rules or elements that are supposed to be the same across all the pages in a file like this one. So we know that there is a wide margin here. So, sorry, a space here. So I can go to the body rule and add a padding. And I will add 24 pixels. Let me see if did I connect it? Oh, okay. Don't forget to connect the files as well. Import. This is what's first, by the way. Variable and share CSS. And there you go. You can see now that there is a more space between the border of the page and the content. This is important because it makes it easier to read. You don't imagine that you're on a mobile phone and now your devices are basically borderless. If you put the text to the strings of the web page, it will be really hard to read. So you don't want that for your users.
Can I quickly ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
So we have certain variables now, body variables in the shared CSS file and in the style CSS file. Where should we usually put those? Because that's something I tried to figure out last night and I couldn't decide sort of.
Yeah, you mean the rule
like
that I have here right now?
Yeah, like the font family you have in style for the whole body, but then we're doing like the margin for the whole body in the shared CSS file.
Correct. That's a nice question. And to be honest, the real answer is I didn't see this one. So definitely, now that I have a separate files, let's do the keyword we just learned today. Refactor. You're totally right. I didn't see it. Let me cut this one. And yes, by the way, for everybody, the ideal intention is that your style CSS is only a command center or a dashboard to the other files. So yeah, thank you.
So that will only have imports then always. There's no scenario. Okay.
Yeah, because if I go to a tree structure, let me open. Well, let me just digress a little bit, just so everybody's on the same page. Let's take a quick detour. Web development. By the way, this tool is the one that you should have used in software engineering. It's so much easier to use. But so anyways, I have my style.css, and this is the head, the parent, and inside that I have the small child. I will use a different color so you can use it. And I will have one for example, for the variables CSS. One for the general styles. Oh, I was using the name share, maybe CSS. I will paint it like this. I will have one for the introduction, CSS. The reason that I don't call it, by the way, the reason I don't call it a header is because header is the name of the tag. I don't want to call my CSS files based on HTML tags because maybe in the future the client makes a different requirement, and then we need to change the tags. What we want to use the name is the name that us as a person we understand of our website. In this case, it's an introduction.css. We are probably going to end with another file just for the content. And by the content, remember that we on Monday we divided this one section for education and one section for work experience. But the reason that I don't create a file, a CSS file for work experience and another for education is because we learned that basically both sections were mostly the same, like 90% the same. So they can share they can live together in a single file. But if the work experience and the education were super different, then I will create a different file for each one. So just to be clear, I will put it in the comment. Will work text and education are similar enough to share one file. Just so there is no doubt about this one. Let me just actually make a better comment. If I want to make a comment, I usually use black. I put it, there you go, pretty. And finally, one CSS file for the footer. Oh, sorry, I'm making the mistake I just told you. Don't use the name of the tag. Don't use the name of the tag. Use the name of the content that you want to imply. In this case, it's contact information. So let me go back and contact.css. We paint it. So yeah, I definitely should have started by this one. So this is how we're gonna organize our project. We're gonna have one single CSS file that has, let me put in the comment, 0 code inside, and only import other files. And let me put this one as well as a comment here. There you go. So this is our project, our graphic design project structure. We have one CSS file that only takes care of importing other CSS files. And then we're gonna have one file for each part of the website. Where let me actually organize this one with a different color. Introduction, content. Just give me 1 second. I will explain it as soon as this is a little bit more organized. There you go. I want to keep a small distance on purpose. So yeah. Now let's go again. We are going to have a single CSS file to import the other files. We're going to have these special files that are designed to hold all the information, the variables. I like to have the variables in one file. I want to have the share, the common rules in another one. And if you ask, hey, if the shared file, the shared rules affect the entire website, why don't you just fuse together these two files? And the answer is, as I told you, it's quite normal that your CSS project reach 1,000 lines. So this file at the end probably is going to have 100 lines. And if you have like 20 variables here, then you have a file with 120. And it will be super difficult to find the variables. And the variables are something that you were going to go back and forth so often that is a good practice to have it as a separate file. Even if you can actually put it here, I personally recommend you to actually have the variables separate. And this is a convention that came, I think, from C. Literally, they split the variables in one file and the functions in another one. So it's quite annoying, but it sometimes makes sense. And then we're going to have a file just for the introduction or header, one for the common elements in the middle of the web page that are the content, and one for the contact that is the footer. I think that we're on the same page now, right?
Yeah.
Perfect. You can take a screenshot right now because I think that this is super important to have for the first project that we're going to have. So take a screenshot right now. You want to take a screenshot in Mac, it's Command Shift number 3. Command Shift number 3. And we're back to the project. I will actually keep this tab open in case that we need to add more files in the near future. I will pin it so it doesn't take as much space. So far, this is our work in progress, and this is the finished one. But you can see that just by adding fonts, your project started to look quite nice. So it's like it's almost ready. But no, we're gonna do a couple of more nice tricks first. Let's open the variable file CSS. I want to keep it on the right. I will have styles, variables, shares here. Perfect. I will try to keep these files open all the time. So we have the variables, the share, and the introduction. We don't have anything more in the style because we refactored it and put it inside the share files. Now I want to refactor this padding because I think that I'm gonna use this magic number across the web page all the time. So we're gonna create a new variable just for space. Let me delete the word magic. This creates confusion. I will add a space, a variable called space big, and I will call 24 pixels. The reason that I don't call this margin big or padding big, and I only call it spacing, is because I want to be able to use this value no matter what. So if I need to add a margin, the 24 pixels, I want to use the same variable if I need to add a padding of 24. I only care about this particular number. So let's go back and intro. And in intro, instead of using padding 24, I will call a variable and space. And I call it big, right? There you go. So nothing happens because we are achieving the same result. We create a variable and we put it inside the body. So let's go to our finished project and see what else do we need to do now. Okay, I see that I need to make these subtitles smaller and share the same color gradle as this one, and also the uppercase. So let's go back to the curriculum. I think that this one for now, for the mobile part, is over. If I go to the full screen and go to the finished project, you can see that I moved this one on desktop. I moved this one to the left. But I also told you that we are gonna design first for the font. So once we finish this and we reach this particular look, then I will start adding code to make the 3 columns and this element go to the left. So let's first focus on our mobile users. So our next step is to add this particular element. So it's to make it the font size smaller. So let's go to the section. We know that we have the title work experience. This looks perfect. Maybe in the project the fonts are a little bit bigger, but you already know. Just create a tag and that's it. Let me see. Okay, let me delete this one because I will explain this particular tip in a second. Right now, the project looks the same. This is how I left. How we left it on Monday. So we have the work experience, the title work experience here. We're moving now to this part of the project. By the way, sorry, I need to explain it better. So we're in the work experience, and we have one article for this one. We have one article for Boom Multimedia, one for Maruri Gray, marketing agency. And we are going to target now these subtitles. So I will open my article. I will delete this one. This is how I had it on Monday without subtitles. So I have a p tag here, and I don't want both tags to become uppercase. I only want the first tag to become uppercase. So I will add a class called subtitle. And remember, we use the same class subtitle in the header, but this one doesn't get converted to uppercase because we were quite organized enough to tell them introduction, subtitle. If I delete this introduction, look what happens. This one's become the same size, but we don't want that. So that's why we actually use introduction. So this only affects the subtitle inside introduction. I want to delete this one, and I will start creating the new CSS file. We're gonna create this CSS file, the one for the content right now. So let's go back to the project. I will create a new CSS file called content CSS. There you go. And I write a description. This CSS file takes care of the design of the sections work experience and education. There you go. Let me see if I can just, yeah, much better, so you can read it here. So let me delete these ones as well. Just 1 second. Let me delete these classes. I have it here. Perfect. So I want to target, so as you can see, I want to target these 2 sections at the same time. And because I want to share code, a little bit of code between them, I want to add, I want to create a new class called content, and I will add it to both sections. So for example, I will add a class content, and class content, class content. And let me connect this CSS file to the main CSS file. So let me put it here. So we have the variables, the share code, the introduction, and the code for the content itself. Content CSS. There you go. By the way, just to make it quite quicker, I will create right now. I will create the last CSS file that we're gonna need. That is the contact information. Even if we're not gonna design it right now, just so I can close this style file. So remember, we have these files, 5 files, variables, share, that are related to this particular one. Variables, share, introduction, content, and contact. So I can close this one right now. Close tab. And now that I imported it, I don't need the style anymore. So I will keep this one. Now I will make sure that this is connected correctly. So I will make a quick test. Content, background color, green, yellow, super ugly. So okay, as you can see, these both change at the same time. So we are ready to target them. If for some reason, let's say, one case scenario, I want to actually for example, to have the same color background, but then change the color of the titles. For example, let me show you this example, background color, green, yellow. Let's say that you want to share the background color, but you don't want that education has the black font size, the black font color. You can actually add more classes to the content. For example, I can create in addition to content, I can create a work experience as a class. So I can add multiple names to the CSS tag, and this one education. So I can now make, for example, content, work experience, color red. And the red color only applies to the work experience. And I can make education, color blue. And as you can see, I can share the name content, in this case for the background color, because this one both has content, but I can add an additional class so I can make some differences between these two. So let me delete this ugly code because we are not going to use it right now. And we are going to target this one, remember. So let me open the content, and I will add a class subtitle to this one, also to this one. And we're in Boom Multimedia. Now we are adding the subtitle for the Maruri one. And let's do with education at the same time because it's also the same. Let me delete this one. Sorry, just 1 second. So each P that is a title, each P that is a subtitle, I will add this subtitle class. So I will add it here. Let me put in a space just to make it easier to see. So this one is a block. This one is a block. And this one also has a subtitle. And in the voluntary work, again, I will add a subtitle to the year. And here as well in related education, even if it's not a year, I also want to share this particular style. So I will also add a subtitle here. So for example, class subtitle. There you go. So I want all these subtitles to become uppercase. So let's do that. Content, space, subtitle. I want to make the text transform, uppercase. Perfect, it's uppercase. Now I want to make it bolder, font weight, bold. There you go. And I also want to use the color. In this case, color, variable, color gray. Oh, wait, color gray? Color gray. Oh, Shit, I hate the change between the English and the British spelling. There you go. And remember, organize your code. I think that you can move lines in Visual Studio Code if you press in your keyboard the Option key and the arrow key up and down. So you can go, for example, color and put it first in alphabetical order, and then Option down to move this one. And now you realize something. I want to make this one smaller, but you can already realize that, hey, this subtitle and this subtitle are quite similar. So maybe we can do a little bit more refactoring so the project looks easier to debug. So let me just finish the font size here. Font size will be go here, font size. I will make it maybe 12 pixels. Yep, that's a nice space. Perfect. But as you can see, besides the font size, the color, the font weight, and the text transform are similar between these ones. So we probably can refactor that. Let me open it. Let me open the introduction as well, so you can see what I am referring to. Let me put the introduction on the left and the content on the right. And look at these subtitle classes. I will highlight both. We have a lot of duplication here, guys. Oh, let me put this one here. There you go. We have 3 lines of CSS that are basically the same. We have this line is the same. 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 The only difference is the font size. So let's refactor. And how do we refactor? We go to our share file, CSS file, and we're going to create a rule called subtitle. And in subtitle, I will cut this information that is repeated, including the color variable. In the introduction, I will delete this one as well, and I will only leave the font size. So there you go. Now, my introduction CSS file, my subtitle only has the information for the font size, and this one, and in the content, I only have the information for the font size to make it smaller. But in the share file, we have a generic subtitle that makes the color gray, makes the font weight bold, and makes the text transform uppercase. So let me go quickly in the HTML, and let me add an example of what the advantage of we just did by refactoring. So dummy subtitle. I have the dummy subtitle and class subtitle, and this share the design style of these ones and these ones. You can see that the font size has not changed. So my P has a particular. Let's say that we have a 16 pixels font size, and this is skipped. What we just added is the style for the uppercase, the color, and the font weight. So yeah, congratulations, you are started to refactor CSS. What else do we need? Actually, it started to look quite nice. We need to actually make these subtitles go a little bit closer to our titles. Right now, I think that we have, I can see my entire mouse and a little bit of space. In this one, you cannot even put the mouse in the middle, because in middle it becomes the selection cursor. So then that means that there's a less space between these two. So how do we change the space? We can check right-clicking and pressing spec element. Let me just go a little bit to full screen right now. And we can see that our header, you can see an orange shadow on top of that. What is that? If I go to computer, and this works as well in Chrome, by the way. If I highlight my H3 tag, you can see that we have a margin top of 18, almost 19 pixels, and a margin bottom of 18, margin bottom of 19 pixels, and a margin top of 19%. And I don't want that margin. I want to make the margin smaller, maybe 16, because the difference was not that much. So let's create a variable just for the space. So space medium. Let's call it medium. 16px. So I want that my titles inside my titles has this size. So I can put it either in content itself, or I can put it in share. In this case, I want to put it in share. Why? Because I want to modify the font size of all the h tags. For example, this h2 tag and this h2 tag, and also this h2 tag that are in a totally different parts of the document share the same style. So I'm gonna make rules for all my titles right now. So for example, I want that my h1 title, for example, the font size 24 cells. My titles, I think that if I put 36, it will become bigger. This one is the name for the rollover, so I will keep that one as it was. No, I will focus only, sorry, my bad. I will focus only on the h2 tag right now. So this one. So I want this one is bigger, and I will make this one h3 a little bit smaller, on size 16 cells, maybe 18. So this one's become a little bit smaller. And the cool part is that this one that is in the section work experience and this one that is in the section contact are sharing the same information. And how do we confirm it? Let me add a real color red. You can see that this one is red, this one is red, this one is red. That's why I'm putting in the share one, because I want to modify my h2 that looks the same across the entire web page. Now, let's go back to reduce the margin on these ones. Remember, the margin is too big right now. So I will make the margin bottom smaller. How to do that? Margin bottom. And I call the variable var dash dash space. I don't want a space big, I want a space medium. There we go. I think it's still big. Maybe a space medium should be, the variable space medium should be way smaller, maybe 8 pixels only. And yeah, much better. Yeah, it's so much closer. It's really close to the other one. So it's only 8 pixels. Perfect. Now, I want to give you a tip that this is a personal tip. It doesn't mean that you need to apply it, by the way. But let's go back to the H1s. Oh, sorry, let me put it full screen. Oops, sorry. Let me put this one on full screen. So as you can see, even if we never define the margins, the H1 tag, the H tag always has a margin. To be honest, I don't usually like that, because it means that we are adding the browser is adding a space that I am not controlling. I like to organize my stuff from top to bottom. So I don't want to use margin top and margin bottom to align items. For example, let me go to the H3 to explain this better. As you can see, we modify the margin bottom of the H3, but you can see that the H3 also has a big margin on the top, and this is making an organization disaster. So I usually recommend to everybody at the beginning of the project, remove the margin top from all your headings. So in this case, H3, H4, H5, H6. We are not going to use H4 and H6 in this project, but I want to reset all the margins in this one. So I will type margin top 0. Perfect. This way, I can, sorry. There you go. Visual Studio Code. So in this way, I am in control of the margins. I will fix the space on this one in this particular horizontal rule later. But for me, it's easier to control the space from. It's easier to just focus on the space by adding margin bottom than playing with margin top and margin bottom at the same time, because then you will start getting confused. Hey, do I need to increase the margin top or the margin bottom? No, visualize and always be organized, and always, if you want to modify the space in the vertical axis, only use margin bottom. So you always think about pushing pushing the elements down instead of pushing elements up and down at the same time, because I think it's confusing. But anyway, let's continue with the final project. To be honest, it's almost ready. For example, this one is related to education. The only difference is that we see that there is too much space on the left, and that we have circular items instead of the square one. So let's go to the education. We already have work experience totally done. Let me delete this. You didn't see that Greek. We're gonna fix it. We're gonna add that one later. So there you go. We have this one, this one. So we have the education, the university studies, the voluntary work, and the related education. And in related education, we want to modify this list. So I can add a class book list, for example, and I go to content, and I create content dot book list. Let me put background color red. Perfect. We know that we are not affecting this one. So we put we wanna change the padding, the space. We want the bullets go way closer. So let's see how to do that. Let me experiment a little bit. I think it's padding left 0. Too much. Padding maybe is 8 pixels. No, 16. There you go, it's 16. But I don't want to use this number, so I will create a new variable. And this one should not be medium, this should be small. This should be small. Let me refactor a little bit. And this one will be space medium. 16 pixels. Okay. This break, by the way, remember the titles. So let me go back real quickly to the titles, and this one will be small. There you go. That is small. If you don't know what I just did, is because I added a new measurement, and I was using a small with the value 16. I needed to change the value, the name here of the variable, just in case. And by the way, I hear everybody silent. If you want to make questions, please go ahead. This time, I usually had like 4 comments in the chat. Right now, I don't see anything. So if you want to make a question, please go ahead. But anyways, let's go back. We have the space medium. Let me go to content and create a variable, space medium. There you go, looks perfect. And I also want to target this, the list style. So I think the property is called list style square. There you go. Now you can see that this one are square and this one are circular. So we pretty much have already done this part of the education, and it started to look quite nice. Now let's add information, and information is quite special. Number one, it looks quite different. Even if this is a list, it looks quite different to this one. It doesn't have bullets for starting. It has icons, and this has this nice hover effect that when I pass the mouse, the design changed completely. So let's build that, shall we? We already have the intro. We already created our variables. I don't think that we're gonna create more variables anymore. We have all that we need in the share. So let's open the contact. I never create the contact CSS. Contact CSS. Let me be sure that we already have it connected. So let me see if it's working. I need to add. Oh, this is a bad practice. Don't do that, please. Look at what I did. No, contact. That was a super bad idea. Okay, Elena has a really nice question, and you have it on the full screen. That is the ring units and EM units. I can send additional information about that one, and maybe if we have time on Friday, I can cover this one. This is a way for also to make a responsive design, so you can make the font size grow or shrink in a particular scale. It's a nice topic to cover. It's a little bit more advanced for the basic of the CSS. But if we have time on Friday, I would love to mention a little bit about this. So is that okay?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, but no, it's a nice topic. And yes, again, and we were talking about with Christian. At one point, if you have 2 weeks and in 1 week you need to cover HTML, CSS, and Java, definitely some stuff needs to be cut out of the project entirely. If I have 1 month just for front end, oh yeah, you have no idea. By the way, I will make the graphic design courses, the lectures obligatory instead of optional, because just as I cannot see HTML and CSS taught separately, I cannot see web development taught without a little bit of basics of graphic design as well. But unfortunately, we only have a couple of days, so I needed to cut some topics. But yeah, this is a topic that is quite important for more advanced concepts. But right now, let's learn the basics before we can focus on more advanced stuff. But yeah, this is important as well. So let's go back to the basics. And let's let's add a class contact list. Perfect, I added a class so we can start writing code. So I will put contact. Yes, I want to make my quick test to see if everything is okay. And contact is not working, so let me see. Footer class contact. Let's see what is happening in style. Contact CSS remain. Import contact CSS, okay. And contact CSS. Okay, let me see. Oh, duh, because we are seeing the finished project. So it's working correctly. Okay. So contact, have my class, and again, let's add some comments. This file will style the contact information at the bottom of the web page. And I add a comment again by command slash. There you go. First things first, I want my contact list to remove bullets and the space at all. So padding left, 0. And list style, I can tell none, so no bullets. I will remove this just for 1 second because I want to show you something. So let's see how the UL list item works by default, even if we don't touch anything. So this is our list items. You can see the blue box around that. That's the reason this is the inspiration for the training wheels. And this is the UL. You can see that the orange borders around are the margins, as you can see here. It has a margin of 16, a margin of 16. But also you can see a green space inside on the left. That's the padding. The UL tag always add a little bit of padding to the left, so you can see, you can indent the list, because the lists are intended to, you can create a list, and inside the list you can go to a sub-level and you can start indenting. So that's why the UL list always has a little bit of padding. So if you create a list inside a list, it will start indenting itself. So let me just show this real quick so you can see it in action. If I, for example, if I copy this, no, let me do it in the books because this one is more clean. Inside the list, I create another list, and inside the list I put a list. Look what happens. You can create the second indent, and it's quite nice. So that's why That's why the UL always adds a little bit of padding. So when you make a nested list, that's the correct term. You can see the indentation correctly. So let's do let's go back. Padding left, list style type, list style type. No, list style none. There you go. So we have the content information just like that. Now we want these elements to look black and white, and we need to add an icon. We're gonna do all of that. So we know that inside the list, and we did this on Monday. We have inside the list we have an A tag. So let's target the A tag. In this case, the contact list, contact list, A, background color, red. This is a quick test. There you go. I'm targeting that one. So there you go. Background color red, but I don't want the background color to be red. I want to be black. Background color black. Perfect. But now I cannot read the information, so I need to change the color of the text to white. There you go, much better. But doesn't look, sorry, wrong key, but doesn't look at all as nice as this one. So first, we see two things. There's a lot of space between these elements, and I think that the font size is bigger. So first, let me add the padding. Oh, sorry, no, it wasn't correct order. Yeah, there you go. So first, let me add a little bit of padding. If I don't say I don't say top, bottom, left, or right, it will go to the 4 sides at the same time. So bar space small. Perfect. But now they're too close together, so I need to add a margin to push them down. Margin bottom bar space small as well. No, space big. Okay. Now this is a nice gotcha that you're gonna find. Why margin bottom is not working at all? Let me even put a super high value. If you have a notebook, this is something that you really need to write it down. The margin, let me show you. If I put margin the body 100% doesn't work, but if I put margin left 100%, we actually can move it. So what is happening? Please write down this in a notebook for real. Elements that has the display type inline. You remember the sheet that I gave you? There is a column for the display type to see if it is a column, or sorry, is this display block or inline? Elements with display inline cannot have margin top and bottom, and that's it. So you cannot add a margin bottom to the A tag. So you may ask, then how do I add a space? Well, yesterday I told you how to change the display. So we can change the display to the contact list display. We can make a block. Unfortunately, it takes the entire space. We don't want that. But look at the margin. Now we can add margin bottom, bar, space, small. Now the margins are working. Medium. Now we have a nice spacing. But the problem with the block is adding this the background goes to the border to the top, to the other side of the screen, and we don't want that. So if we want to, but if we go in line, we get this effect that we want, but we lose the margin. So there is a property called inline block that is a mix of both features. So there you go. Didn't mention it before because it's a super edge case scenario that you only encounter once per project. So remember, if you want to remember, write this down. Elements with display in line cannot have margins and top and bottom. If you want add margin top and bottom to a display inline element, the closest fix is to make this change the display from inline to just inline to inline block, and this will have this effect. So right now, which looks quite nice. Let me see what else we have. Oh, I see that we have icons. So let's add the icons right now. Perfect. So how do I add icons? I use this particular library called Font Awesome. So Font Awesome allows you to find. It's a library for finding nice icons. For example, if I put Git, I get the Git icon. If I put, for example, code, you can see this icon here, and you probably, if you remember the platform, yes, this is the icons that I personally use for the SDA, by the way. So I only recommend tools that I actually use. So I don't want to make you waste time with shitty resources. Every single resource that is in the curated content is not that I just Google some topic and just paste the first result. Everything that is in the curated content list is content that I have read and I consider it high quality enough so to share with other people. But anyways, let's install this icon library. So how do I do it? I go to this one. I press the button and start for free. And there is many ways to do it. You can download one. You can use npm. But I remember that there was a way to actually just use the JavaScript. So I think it's this one. This is the JavaScript way. Link. Wait, just give me 1 second and let me see the finished project. Because back to you all using CSS. Let me open for this one. I will open the solutions just for 1 second because I honestly don't remember. Let me push this one. We finished first half of the live coding session. Perfect. And because remember we're in Git, we can switch between branches and we'll go to master. That is the finished one. And I'm so lazy. Okay, this is the script. You can copy it. You can copy it from the Git repository. I will copy this one. The source is a script tag, and it's called kit.fontawesome.com/. It's the same website, by the way, that we just see in fontawesome.com. It's just, to be honest, I don't want to waste time until I find where the hell is the link. So I will copy this tag and go back to our branch. Let me go back to our branch. It's this one. Ooh, there you go. Reload the page. Okay. Let me go to this one. I see comments. Let me see. Change display. Why do you use padding 2 times in contact list, Smita? Can you please expand a little bit about this one?
I don't understand. Why do you use 2 times?
I still,
Padding one.
let me go to the contact. I think we're in the contact list. Okay, we're here. And I'm pointing padding left 0 to remove this space. But I think that's not your question. What is the question?
2 times you are using contact list padding 1.
Okay, I think I know where you're referring to. If I go to content, I have a padding left for this one. So I put 16 pixels, so it's aligned to this one. This padding is affecting only this list.
I think she might be referring to within the contact
Contact.
file. Contact. Both contact.contact list padding left and then contact.contact list A.
Yeah.
padding var space small. I think that's what Smith was referring to.
Yes.
Ah, okay. You want to say what is the difference between this line number 6 and line 11? Is that the question?
No, why is there padding in both? Is
Two
what she
times
said.
you are using in same contact list.
Ah,
padding.
okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let me delete the padding so you can see what is happening. I will delete this padding and this padding. The first padding that we're gonna is in this line affects this one. Let me put it on full screen, so don't worry. I'm totally okay answering these kinds of questions. If I go back to the inspector and I go to my URL list, you can see that even if we don't have any, we didn't have write any padding code, by default the web browser puts a padding left. I never wrote in any part of the code padding left 40.
Yeah.
This padding left is added by the browser, and the reason that is added by the browser is because you can nest list inside list, and when you nest list inside list, it will achieve this effect. Just wait me 1 second. I will open Microsoft Word to give you this example visually quite quickly. In Word, I can say, for example, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I can add a bullet point list like this one.
Yeah, by
But
default.
you know that inside Word, if I press tab, I can go inside and say sub1 and sub2. Let me make it a bullet number so it's easier to visualize. Numbers. So you can see that if I in Microsoft Word I can use tab to indent.
Yeah.
So this is why the browser by default adds a little bit of padding to the left to the items, because if you didn't add half padding left, you will have this problem that you say 1 and sub1 is at the same level that the parent. So that's why the browser always, by default, without you even realizing, add a little bit of padding. So when you do this in code, you can visualize the effect.
Yeah, got it.
So yeah, my first padding, sorry, let me close this one. So the first padding I'm adding, let me go back to the bottom. There it go. So the first padding I'm adding is to remove that ugly padding that I don't need right now. Well, it's not that it's ugly, but I don't need it right now. And now the second padding that I'm adding to the hyperlinks itself is because you can see that the text is touching the box and it looks visually ugly. But if I do a little bit of padding, I add a little. This is all about design. In functionality, it's okay. It's working. If I add the space small, I add this beautiful space between the box and it looks visually appealing. So that's why this padding affects the A list and this one affects the bullets.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. And please go and ask these kind of questions. I will need to go back to the master branch because I copy paste and I lose the link that I was copying. Remember, I copied this script and you can check in the Git repository for the awesome fonts. So this is a script tag. So this means that this is a little bit of JavaScript code. Okay, I don't see anything. And of course, you don't see anything. You just tell the machine load a JavaScript file, but you don't have to tell anything to the user what to do with to the computer what to do with this information. So inside the tag A, I want to add an icon. So I will use the A tag as a container. I'm creating a space a little bit, and I will add Font Awesome has its custom I tag, and it's called class. And I think the I tag doesn't mean anything. This is an invented tag used by Font Awesome to add icons. But I is not an official tag, by the way. It's used by Font Awesome to add icons. So I class Font Awesome, and let me see the syntaxes. How do I see the syntaxes? Because I don't remember it right now. You go to Font Awesome. And for example, I want the Git icon. I press Git. I see this icon of GitHub, this icon, I will go with this one. I will with this one. I click it, and if I go below, there you go. You can see this is the code that I need to add the Git icon. So let me add the Git icon right now. Let me go to the curriculum. I will put it nice way, in this nice way. I will add it in the Git first because I have this one in memory. And there you go. You have a nice icon here. So let's keep adding the linked elite one. So let me search for an icon. I will put this one a little bit wider because this web page is not that well optimized for mobile. So LinkedIn. I want to use this one. I will use this one. And I can see the code here. I copy it. I go to my linked list and go back. And there you go. We have this one. Now, next, the email icon. At this point, I think I'm okay with this one. I will stop. Let me just make it a little bit wider. I will add an email. I search for email. This is a MailChimp one. Don't use this one. You can use whatever icon you want at this point. You can even use the add one. I will use this one. And remember, the code is here. Where is my email? My email is this one, and I will add a space here. And delete this one. There you go. Between this line and this line. There you go. And I know it's working. I will use the last one, the phone, so they can call me. I will use this one. Oh, by the way, if you're starting using phone also, some icons are grayed out. And when you pass the mouse, you see the word Pro. This means that these ones you cannot use it for free. So you can only use the ones that are black. But you can click on free and it will filter and only show the icons that are free. Well, I want to use the mobile phone one just to make it different. I will copy this one. There you go. And if everything is okay, there you go. We have the icons now. And congratulations, you just finished the website in mobile. Maybe I can add more space for the horizontal rule. Let me do that right now. From a functionality point of view, the project is complete, but let me add margin bottom, bar, space small, space big. Perfect. And now we have a nice margin bottom. And maybe I can add the same. I will break my own rule that I just told you a couple of minutes ago, and I will add also the same margin as well, space big. Yeah, it looks visually more appealing. There you go. So our website looks very well on mobile devices, but it looks like crap on desktop. So let's take a 15 minutes break, and then we're going to continue to add the last part of the tutorial, that is focus on how to make the 3-column layout and how to organize this one. So is that okay with the 15 minutes break?
Yep, sounds good. Thank you.
Perfect. Then I will put the timer right now.
Yeah.
We're about to start. 1 minute left.
Yeah.
Luckily, the last part is short, so but I didn't want to bombard with that much information right now.
Well, it's cool, I think.
Oh, nice.
You
Yeah.
know, a week ago, I didn't have any clue about HTML and CSS, and now I'm starting to like get really comfortable with it. So that's good.
No, exactly. And you're starting learning by how to organize information, because we remember that the first project that I want to release today is a website with a couple of links. It's a 4 pages web page. And yeah, you probably need to share a lot of information about that.
Yeah, definitely.
So, okay, I see, let me see, I see 39 people connected. To be honest, I don't know if everybody's here because I see the webcam, but because of time, we need to keep going. So,
All right.
okay. So this is the finished one. You can see that this one is the web version because it's a URL. So, and the other one that I will open on the left is this is the project. I was in master just copying a couple of snippets just to remember how to do some certain parts. But we're gonna do from everything from the scratch. So, well, before we start, I want to compare both side by side so we can see where we're standing. Let me put this one on pin tab. There you go. Let me exit the responsive mode of Safari. There you go. So let me put both in responsive mode now again, responsive mode. So on mobile, they are quite similar to the point that, yeah, they look quite nice. Even this one is better because it actually has the title centered. This one is actually this is the one for the web. So in this part in mobile, our version in live coding looks even better. But on desktop, let me exit the responsive mode. Exit responsive mode. Definitely the version on the web on the left is way better because, and this is, I don't know why teachers love to use in PowerPoint, love to make a one single column layout in PowerPoint and looks horrible. Using the space available to make this a 3-column layout looks way better. We're better as humans. We are better to reading small blocks than this long paragraph that go from top to left of the screen. So let's start by doing this. This is the effect that you are most looking for. And then we're going to learn how to do this small detail. You can see, by the way, that the paragraph doesn't occupy the entire width on desktop. That's a nice touch as well. That's super easy to do, by the way. And this one is a little bit harder. So this one will be the very last thing that we're going to do. But so we're going to start by this, then this, and then finally end on this. So 3 things that we're going to do right now.
Eduardo,
Let's get somebody.
yes, did you use Bootstrap in contact details, in contact information? Or
Yeah.
yes.
Sorry, I hear something about contact information, but I didn't hear the rest.
Did you use Bootstrap feature in the contact information?
Mm-hmm. I hear something about Bootstrap. You're maybe asking if you can do this in Bootstrap, right? That's the question.
No.
Yes.
Is there any Bootstrap implemented or used? I think is the question.
Yes.
No, we just literally code this the one on the right right now. No, there is zero Bootstrap in this project.
Okay.
Yeah, but we literally just did it in front of you. But yeah, the question is, if you want to do this in Bootstrap, yes, you can do it. Why I don't do it in Bootstrap? Because I'm teaching you how to use the default tools that the browser comes built with it. So yeah, you can achieve anything that Bootstrap does using pure CSS, and it will run faster. And what is that? Because Bootstrap, because it needs to accommodate to every single user scenario, has thousands of lines of CSS code that your poor mobile device needs to run for nothing. But if you create a bespoke CSS code, your website will run faster we are aiming to become better developers. Last thing before we get back to the tutorial is actually, if you do coding interviews for a position as a front-end developer, no full stack, as a front-end developer, actually, the best companies actually write in their description, and I showed you that in the, if somebody finished the first React project on time, I will unlock for each student that actually write me a private message and says me, hey, I finished on time, I finished before the deadline, I will unlock for them a second exercise. And the second exercise states, it's not that I wrote that, it's that the people in the company state, do not use Bootstrap. And when I passed the interview, I asked about that. They answered the same thing that I just tell you. They hate to use Bootstrap because they make the website super slow and super hard to debug. So that's the reason that each candidate that was using Bootstrap in the text example, they didn't even get an interview. As soon as because we needed to send the Git repository, and they check the Git repository, and if they find Bootstrap installed, they just close the window and go to the next candidate. So if you feel that I hate Bootstrap, I don't hate it that much. I hate it a bit, but companies also hate it. So we are trying to move away from Bootstrap. So if you are trying to aim toward a front-end development job, be aware, Bootstrap looks like help in disguise, but will make your life miserable, and you maybe even be disqualified for job interviews, and you don't even realize why. So it's something that you need to be really, really aware of. If you are being hired as a full stack engineer, where you're supposed to be a jack of all trades, you're not the best in the front end development, you're not the best at the back end, but you can build everything. These kind of jobs actually use Bootstrap because you cannot do. There is no time in the world to build a server by hand. You need to use a framework like a Spring or Node, and there is no time in the world by also while you're building a server by hand, you're building a front end by hand. So in that case, a full stack engineer is totally understandable that he uses a framework for the front end like Bootstrap, and uses a front end in the back end like Node or Spring. But for pure front end development jobs, Bootstrap is becoming something like poison. So it's just like jQuery. If you use jQuery in a front end development job, trust me, you will never get a job at all. So with this small rant out of the way, let's continue.
Hey,
But
John.
I will mention Bootstrap, by the way, because there is still, if you're gonna aim for a full stack job, yes, you need to know a little bit of Bootstrap. But the reason that we are on the front end part of the module is because we are trying to teach you the front end skills without any additional tools. So let's continue. Let's put this on the I'm on the branch live coding, yeah, the one that you are seeing. And this is our no, this is the finished project. That's the reason that there is a 3 nice column layout. Let me delete this one. So this is that looks nice, but we want columns. So let's add the columns right now. Let me delete up. This is where we left. We have the index, and we're gonna focus on the content. We're gonna open the content tab. I'm gonna hide the browser. I will put the window a little bit to the side because we actually need the space to see the columns. So this, because here it doesn't look bad. It's when we actually make the window wider that we really need to add columns. So we are in the content. The content is empty. We need to add the grid, and we learned yesterday how to apply the grid. So let's do that. By the way, I will do it bad on purpose the first time so you can see something important. I added the property display to the content display grid. Nothing happens yet. That's okay, because we're only telling the activate the grid mode, but we haven't tell any grids. So to create the grids is grid template columns. And we want 3 columns, so occupy the same space. And look at what happens. There is a problem here. Let me close the introduction. Let me close the head. Let me put the index on the full screen to take the entire width. Let me minimize this one. Let me minimize this one. And we're gonna focus only in this block of HTML, this one. What is happening? It's taking the H2 and making a column out of it. And also from the article, also for the second job and for the third job. But we don't want the work experience as a column. This has to be a title that takes the entire width of the web page, and these three should be the columns. But what is happening that? Well, remember, computers don't do what you want to do. Computers do what you tell to do, and there is a difference. You want the title to be outside of the grid, and you want the content inside of the grid, but you just literally told the computer, take everything, but literally everything inside the content and make it a 3-column layout. So how do we fix this? Quite simple. Instead of putting the grid inside the section, we are gonna group these elements together and apply the grid to only this part. So how do we do that? We create a div, we cut the last tag, we put it here. We forget for 1 second of the grid property. We are gonna forget about this code for 1 second. So we have now our section actually only has 2 elements right now. It has a work experience, and has a div, and the div inside the div is where we have these articles. So we add a class to this one, and we'll call that. We can call it grid. That's okay. Now we go content.grid, and now we put display type grid and grid template columns, 1 FR, 1 FR, 1 FR, 1 FR. And if everything looks okay, there you go. You have columns. We know that we have this problem that there's margins, the margins are touching. We are going to fix that one right now. But now let's go back to the index. We really need to understand something. Remember, the first time that we apply grid, everything inside the section becomes part of the grid, including the parts that we didn't want to, like the heading. So that's why, because we only want to add the grid to the articles, we created we put them inside a div, and the div actually has the grid. Before I move on, because I need to refactor this, you can see that the text is touching, and I actually want to do a little bit more of refactoring. Before that, I really want to ask, is this part clear, or there needs to be more explanation? Please don't be ashamed. Ask the question, because I really need to be I really need to be sure that I'm explaining the concept well.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I just faced yesterday this problem with the header, but I just take off the header, the H2, and put it outside the section.
You
Is
mean
it
like that?
correct? Yeah, like that.
Yeah.
And it's is it correct or?
Semantically, no. Why? The answer is simple. Because this, let me put, for example, let me put this one a little bit up. This section is the work experience. If we decide that, for example, the client says, you know what? I don't care about your work experience. I am the kind of person that only care about your education. You go to Harvard, MIT. So delete that one from your CV. Okay, I delete it. Now your title is floating around. The section actually makes sense because this title belongs to this section. If I now delete the entire section, there you go, the entire section goes. That's why it needs to be inside. Of course, as a hack, okay, just to get the project done, I understand that was a nice workaround. But from a content point of view, this block is the section and should be self-contained. And this is the keyword. It should be self-contained. So this section is related to work experience. Thus, the title should be here. Is clear?
Yes, thank you.
Perfect. No problem. This is the kind of question that I want. If I just wanted to show the live coding session, I will just record a video yesterday and say, you know, guys, open this link in YouTube and good luck. This is why we have coding sessions, so we can make questions along the way. So if there is another question, I really want to be sure that you understand why I put a grid, sorry, why I put a div to wrap it up the articles. If there is a question about that, if not, we can continue. Okay, so let's continue.
I have a quick question.
Yeah, go.
And this is just, what's auto format command for VS Code?
Sorry, what?
The auto format command for VS Code.
Yeah, I think it's Command Shift L. Sorry.
Okay, cool. So thank you.
And
Sorry,
I
couldn't find
also
it
have a
online.
plugin. I also have a plugin called Prettier. You can actually look it up. I will not install it right
That's
now,
great.
but I use this plugin that is designed. It works in Visual Studio Code, and this plugin, each time that I save the code, it will auto format it for me. So
Oh,
that's
that's cool.
the
Thank you
reason
so
that when
much.
I write something, for example, and I say save, it deletes these lines.
Do you use it together with the ESLint? Because they can be in conflict sometimes, and like
Exactly,
we
yeah.
had to use ESLint, and it was hell to put them together.
It was a hell, yeah. So, for example, I have one coding test that actually required to deliver with ESLint using the Google rules. By the way, by the people that don't know what we are talking about with Elena, ESLint is a JavaScript library that allows to. It's like you have a senior developer supervisor checking your code, and it will start telling you, oh, you need to do this, you need to fix this, you need to fix this. And the intention is that it makes you a more organized developer. It's quite good. The problem is that it's quite a pain to set up. And the other problem is that, for example, there is it creates conflicts with all plugins around Visual Studio Code, because it's a quite complex project. Literally, you're using a JavaScript library to read the entire project, not only your files, the entire project itself. So yeah, it breaks some plugins. In that case, I literally uninstall the Prettier plugin from the auto format and only use the ESLint during that project. And as soon as I deliver that, I install the Prettier again.
Okay,
Yeah, sorry, that's a real thing. There is YouTube videos.
Very satisfying to hear.
There is YouTube videos that they actually say how to keep Prettier and ESLint.
Yeah, I tried that, and it was
but they failed, right?
So well, because we had to use ESLint last week, but I had Prettier installed, and like I tried. I think I spent like 2 hours, and then I just
don't worry. Yeah, and literally just like Hassan with the workaround of Hassan of moving the title out. When I had a coding interview that I only have 2 days to deliver, I will not spend 2 hours fighting with the IDE. I literally just uninstall the plugin and carry on, because 2 hours is not only that you lose 2 hours. When you are frustrated, it's basically you're actually wasting 6 hours, because as soon as you fix it, it's not like, oh, I'm happy and keep working. No. You feel like you are tired, like you went to the gym for a 2-hour session and you actually don't want to keep coding at all. So these 2 hours are super tricky. Are actually like 6 hours. It's a punishment. So I didn't want to do that. I uninstalled the plugin and carry on.
Can I ask another question quickly about the grid and these columns that we made? Mm-hmm. Is there any reason for why you decided to use grid and not Flexbox, or is it more or less the same in this case?
Visually, it's absolutely the same. In fact, less than 1 year ago, I used Flexbox because it's quite good actually. The reason that I use grid is because it's one line. There you go. I can make it 2 lines by just deleting the FR, and you can see that the next one goes smoothly to the next column. So grid is easier. That's it. That's the reason. It's not that Flex is bad. Flex is quite nice for what it can do, but grid is a newer syntaxes. It allows you to make it easier. Before grid, when grid didn't exist or was not popular enough, I was telling everybody, use Flexbox, because I know that you can do this with float and position, but it's so easier to use Flex. So why bother using an old method that is harder to use when you can use that? And believe me, I'm super old. And before using floats, we use tables. And I tell everybody, why use a table to make a 3-column layout when you can use floats to position the elements? So we have this progression from tables to floats, then to flexbox, and now grid as the new standard to make stuff easier. Our intention is to make the stuff easier, yes. But yes, you can achieve the same effect with Flexbox, by the way.
I got that question at the interview. That's why I asked, because I used Grid on my project, and they asked me why you chose to use Grid and not Flexbox, and like what is your like reasoning around that? And I answered something along the line that I use them mutually, but in reality, I actually use Grid more.
Yeah. For example, if somebody gets that question, I will answer, for example, I will answer something like this. I use Grid because it's the most, I like to use up-to-date techniques. But if we are in a team project working together, my first question will be, what this company is using all browsers, or we are allowed to use evergreen browsers. Evergreen browser, sorry, means that we are using browsers like Chrome or Mozilla that always are up to date. You can literally cannot have Chrome outdated, because as soon as you open a web page and Chrome's, as soon as you open, for example, you open, let's say, Instagram.com, you're opening Instagram, and behind the scene, Google Chrome is also calling Google.com to say if we are on the latest version of Chrome. And if you're behind one version, it downloads the new version on the background, and it actually installed while you're browsing Instagram. That's why when you hear, when you see developer memes about Chrome eating memory like crazy, there is a reason behind that. Is you know that the Google developers are the top dogs in the planet. So there is no better developer than Google, the people at Google. So why they cannot make a browser with less memory consumption? Number one, because they have an out-of-date in the background. Number two, because they are harvesting your information like crazy, and so on and so forth. But there is a reason behind that. So I will answer, I use CSS Grid because it's a modern method, but if we are working on a project, I will ask if we are allowed to use evergreen browsers. Otherwise, I will ask what is the oldest browser that we can use. And then if the browser is, this old browser is modern enough to use Flexbox, I will fall back to Flexbox. Otherwise, if the browser is super old, like Internet Explorer 8, I will fall back to Float's elements.
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah, it sounds very good. Thanks, Eduardo.
Yeah, no problem. Now, with that out of mind, let's go back to our columns. And you're gonna realize something quite soon. If I enter responsive mode, I actually mess it up. This looks horrible on mobile. So let's fix that. Remember that yesterday we teach you about media queries. So, and we also talk about focus on mobile first. So we're gonna, because we know that our website looks perfect on mobile right now. Remember, let me enter responsive right now, just 1 second. If we enter the responsive mode, we know that the mobile is perfect. So don't mess it up. So if we want to write code for the desktop, literally start adding code for that. So let me, because I don't remember the tag, I will just literally copy it here. I will create a code for example, this is for tablets. And by the way, you don't need the media only, blah, 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 that I was telling yesterday. This actually works directly if you just go media, mean width, 500 pixels. And in this case, I will say inside this content, I want that the content dot, remember the grid, the div was called grid. I will put background color. Remember, I always use background color as a test. So right now, if I enter responsive mode, look, the background doesn't appear because I'm targeting only if the screen is wider than this size. So, and I have a couple of questions in the chat. I will answer it as soon as I finish this part. Give me just 1 second. Exit responsive mode. So you know that this code is quite well isolated from this one. So this is super important. And again, now it's starting to make more sense. I go from mobile devices and then go to tablets. Because remember, your mobile device will go like this. Open, read this code. There is nothing here. Actually, this is why the curly brace says don't use empty rule sets. So I can delete this one safely, but I will not delete it right now. Then it enters this rule, your mobile phone, then this enters this mode. Then this is, look, this is like an if statement. It's similar to an if statement. If the mean width is 550 pixels, I enter this code. If you're on a cell phone, like this one, that the screen size is 320, it will skip this code. And then your mobile phone doesn't need to read the code inside it. Thus, the website will load faster on a mobile device. On the other hand, your laptop or your desktop has a CPU of this size with literally with a fan this size, so it can be run much faster. So it can run the entire mobile code and then enter the tablet code and then enter the desktop code, and you will still feel that the website loads fast because your computer is way faster than your mobile phone. So write code for the mobile first, because the computer processor inside this device is weaker than the computer that you're using right now. So well, with that in mind, let's remove this ugly background. Let's activate the grid mode. Grid. And because if we're on a tablet, I don't want the 3 columns yet. I will do what was the grid template columns? 1FR, 1FR. There you go. So we go with 2 columns. Perfect. And when we have a space on the desktop, and when we are like this, it looks nice. When we are here, we definitely need the 3rd column. So let's copy this one, including the comment. And now let's call it desktop. I will increase the screen size to 750. In the slides, you have these numbers. Where do these numbers come from? These numbers, they are in the slides. Remember, this is by years of experience. I'm trying to experiment, and I came with these values. But you are free to use whatever value actually fits. This is a recommendation. There is not an obligation to use these values. So I use 350. We don't need to activate grid again. You don't need to duplicate this rule because it's already displayed here. So I can delete it, and I will add 1 more column. So let me see. If we are in a tight space, we go like this. If we have a space here, we go to 3 columns. Much better. Now we are gonna start to see some problems. Number 1 is the entire web page is taking the entire width of the page. How do we fix that? Let me see the final project so you can see what's happening. Look, it looks beautiful. Like it's a page with a nice space on the sides when you are on a desktop. But if you are on a mobile phone, where there is no space to waste, you can go like this, stretch, 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 stretch. And this point, look, the web page, the content itself don't grow anymore. So let's achieve this effect right now. And it's related to the media queries. So because this particular effect that we're gonna do of the web page, it affects the entire web page, we go to the share one. And in this one, we're gonna create a rule, a CSS rule. Okay. I think that this only affects the desktop, not the tablet. So I will only use for the desktop. And I will write some code for the body. There is a property called max width. I will explain what is this right now, max width. And I will put the size. This is my memory. I always use this size. So we are on our project. Let me see what is happening. So we have 2 columns here. We move to 3. And now, perfect. It doesn't keep stretching. Of course, it's aligned to the left. We need to fix that. But look what is happening. Let's read what is this content means. If I put width directly, let me open, for example, let me remove the media query so it works all the time. If I put 900 pixels with width, this happens. The page is cut, and I need to scroll to the size. And trust me, it's horrible when you need to scroll, because the machine is doing whatever you're telling. You're telling, hey, my body needs 960 pixels to to work properly. Now we don't want that.
So when we encounter web pages that are like this, that was just bad design on their part.
100%.
Because this is like that's not a rare thing. That happens like often.
Yep. And it's annoying as hell. Yeah.
Okay. It's funny.
So you put the rule max width, and there you go. Max width literally is max width is literally doing two things. Let me code a little bit. Code. If a screen size is less than 900 pixels, then width equal 100%. Else width equal 960 pixels. So literally max width is doing this if statement behind the scenes. If the screen size is less than 960 pixels, width is 100% of the page. Else, we limit the width to 960. So congratulations, even in CSS, you need a little bit of coding to understand what is happening behind the scenes. So okay,
Who posted the meme about being a CSS software developer?
Which one?
There was a meme on our meme page about, oh, I'm a coder. What do you code? CSS. And then it was someone washing their hands or something like that.
Oh yeah. It's quite funny. Yeah, of course, this is all hyper mega serious coding, but you can see that actually there is some knowledge behind the scenes of coding here, at least the basics a little bit. So okay, this is working, but I want to make the content itself center. There is another property. This time I want to use margin. I think it's called zero auto. Let me first make it see if it works, and then I will explain what is working. Perfect, beautiful, it's working. Now let's go back and see what is happening. Margin. Remember that yesterday we taught, because we were on the beginning class, we were teaching margin top to only affect the top, margin bottom to the bottom part, left to the left, right to the right. And if we put all the values, if we would just use margin and put a single value, it affects the four sides at the same time. But also, you can use the margin. You can use the margin in another way. If I put margin, and I say, for example, 20 pixels. No, let me put 100 so you can literally see the changes. 100%, 0, 0, 0. This is telling go like a clock. Top, the first value goes for the top. The second value goes to the left, to the right. The third value goes to the bottom, and the fourth value goes to the left. Just like literally like a clock. But you can also make another way. You can just go. If you just put two values, the first value will be the vertical axis, and the second value will be the horizontal axis. So, for example, if I put literally 500 here, we go super compact. So what I'm trying to say right now with this line of code, now let's go again. Zero auto. Zero means I don't want any margin in the vertical axis. But what is happening now? Look here. What is auto here? Auto is telling the machine, use all the space available for the margin on the left and the margin on the right. Because remember, your space available, we're talking about a max width of 960 pixels. Let's code again. The screen size, let's say that, let's do this example. The screen size equal, the screen size equal 100 pixels. Max width equal 960. Thus, let's create a temporal bar, temporal space available equals screen size minus max width. This will return literally this one. To be honest, I suck at math, so I know that it's not 300, it's 240. But well, Oh yeah, I actually respond the answer. Is 2 is 200 is 240. So auto means take the space available, and where is the space available? Is 240. Thus margin left equal, I know that is left equals 120 px, and margin right equals 120. So again, you need to know a little bit of coding to understand what is happening behind the scenes. So this is how we achieved our center page, and it started to look quite nice. Perfect. The columns here has a nice space, but if I close the window a little bit, sometimes it looks nasty. For example, the word front end here touches here, and the front end touches here. Okay. And in this case, is the off one. So how do we fix it? There is a property for that. Let's go back to the content where we define the columns, and there is a new property just for literally defining the gap, the space between columns. So let's write grid template grid gap and gap grid template. Well, oh wait, let me remember the property. The property is grid column gap. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, no, I'm not even ashamed of using the snippets from the time to time. So grid column gap, and I will say, remember we have variables for the spacing, bar space medium, and there you go. There is a nice space. Perfect. And because I'm crazy, I want to even more space for the desktop version, because we have more space to share. Yeah, much better. Let me show you what happens if I remove this one. It looks nice, but we can actually make it a little bit prettier if we just added a little bit more space. So it's just a bit, but it looks way better. So perfect, this looks great, but the education is not working. Why? Because we never add the deep grid here. So let's fix the education right now. It's gonna be quite quickly. Let's go. We know that work experience is working perfectly. We go to the education and we have the same problem that we have before. Let me show you what happens if I, for example, if I put the code grid here. Let me go here. Hey, nothing happened. What's happening in the grid? Oh, because I am scoping the variables. I am scoping the variables using so yeah, that's actually quite good. No, wait. Let me see why it didn't work. Actually, it should have worked the grid here. Let me see where it should mess it up, but at least it should be working. Why? What is not? I want to mess up the code on purpose. Why? Ah, okay. Because this code says content and inside grid and go inside. In this case, the reason it's not working anymore is because I'm telling the grid is at the same level. We want the grid to be inside. So small hiccup on my part. Ignore that one. There you go. And I put this one here. Oh yeah, education is not working. Let me see why. Maybe I'm not reloading the page. Give me 1 second. Index. Yeah, education is not working. Let me see why. Oh, okay. I know why it's not working. Because only the first article is inside the grid. That's on me. That's on me. Okay. That was a mistake on my part. There you go. Now everything is inside. And look, it looks nice. Quite nice. It's almost done, guys. Okay, now there is a lot of questions. Now I will start answering that. Where do I find the Git repository? In the SDA platform. I put everything inside the web development module over there. Blah, blah, blah. There is instruction on post wait question. I already answered this one. Auto formatter, we were talking about that one. We were talking about applies to how to feel, blah, blah. I think color grip is grip now. Grip is gap now. Oh, let me see. Let me see the content. Oh, thank you, Suda. Let me confirm that one. You learn everything, something new every single day. Let me see. Properties of sublit. Oh, thank you so much, Suda. Okay, let me see. Specify the gottes between the grid columns replaced by column gap property. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Then let's fix it. Really, thank you so much. I really like to use up-to-date code, so I didn't know about that one. So sorry for this one. So let me repeat for everybody. To create a space between the columns, you use the property column gap. Don't use the other one because the other one is obsolete. That means that in any part of the future, a new browser will come up and literally delete the other property and your website will break. So try to always stay up to date. Thank you so much for that one, Suda. So what? Let's continue. Now we're gonna target, okay, the content information is perfect. The education here is perfect. This one is okay. Now we need to focus on this one. This one is a little bit harder. That's the reason I left to the last part. And before that, remember commit. This time the commit is added a 3-column layout using CS Grid. And also centered the page on desktop using max width. There you go. I always write nice commits, people, so your teammates can understand. Oh, this says that the live coding branch doesn't exist on the repository. Do you want to see this this project, this version of the project alongside the finished version to compare it side by side or not? No? Okay, then I will not push it. Okay, this will stay in localhost. So continue. Let's focus on this one. Let's go to the final boss, the intro. Okay, first of all, we want to make the paragraph go with the width of half of the width and desktop. So let me minimize this one. Commit to header. We have this paragraph floating around. I can refactor this and convert it into a span. You will see why. In 1 second. It looks the same. And the reason I did that is because I want to tell I want to use the p tag to tell them that only occupied half of the width. If I didn't change to a span and I use using p, I needed to add a class here and a class here, or add a wrapper here. But to be honest, I was lazy enough and I wanted to do that. So let's do that. Let's go to introduction.p. Background color red. There you go. I'm only targeting these ones. There you go. And I want to tell them only have on desktop, not on mobile. On desktop, I want to make the project wider. So let me use my cheat sheet for the properties. Oh, sorry. So it goes full screen. I think I don't need this one anymore. So I will delete this one. So I will tell them, sorry, that's another one. On desktop. On desktop, I will go, remember desktop is 750. And on desktop, I want that introduction p tag. Remember, we're targeting the p tag with max width. I don't know, 500 pixels. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, it's almost like that. No, it's a little bit more. It's maybe 640. Let me see, 700, 720. No, 640 was okay. Maybe it's not the same size of the finished project, but to be honest, it's the same concept. Now what we want to do is this one. This one is the hard one. So let's review what is happening before we start coding. Let me enter responsive mode. Develop, enter responsive mode. This should be center. So this is actually an error part on my side on the finished project. This is should be centered. So imagine this as a centered content, just like the image. So we have content. Let me draw something real quick. I can use PowerPoint. Just give me 1 second. A new keynote. Let me show this on graphics before we go to. 1 second. No, I don't want to open this old slide. I want to go to a new one. Okay. I will put the mobile device on the left. Imagine, use your imagination and think that this is a mobile phone. This is a let me draw something a little bit more pretty. Imagine that this is a mobile phone, and we have the screen here inside. Let me put it in white. This is supposedly to be an iPhone. It's not because I'm a fanboy, it's because the iPhone is super easy to draw because it's only one button. So this is a mobile. Let me put the title mobile so you can see it, mobile. Perfect. And let's draw a computer monitor real quick. Not for a scale, of course. Let me put the white here. White. And just let me center it right now. And let me put the base of the monitor. This is a monitor. There you go. And there you go. This is a computer monitor. And this is a desktop. Desktop or laptop right now is irrelevant. I will lock this content so I cannot touch it anymore. Perfect. I cannot move it. So this is what is happening. Let me go back to this one. So you have a picture like this. I will paint it in another color. Oh, wait, sorry. So I have a picture here. I will paint it in green. I have a title. This is the main title. I will put it in with a red color so you can see it. You also have a smaller subtitle, just a little bit smaller. There you go. I will paint it gray. I will paint it red, green, blue. Okay. So you have these elements, the image, the title, and the subtitle aligned like this. So you can see if I draw an arrow on top of that, we are literally going top to bottom. And I saw this an arrow. There you go. So we are going from top to bottom. And on the desktop, if I open the screen, we actually do two things. First, this element goes to the left, but it's not happening like this. This is not what is happening. What is happening is that this one is here, and it's perfectly aligned to the left. And it goes in this direction. Let me put it a little bit on top here in the middle so we don't actually cross it. Yeah, you can see it here on the border. I will put it on the border here as well. Perfect. So you can see that it's happening like this. We know that Flexbox, now we are going to use Flexbox in this one. We know that Flexbox allows to change the direction of the content from left to right or top to bottom by using the column and the rows property that we saw yesterday a little bit. We also know that, so we know that we start in this position right now, so we don't need to add Flexbox on mobile because it's working as we wanted in mobile. So first we need to add Flexbox on desktop by using Media Query. But we know that if we actually put the Flexbox as a row, it will look something like this, and we don't want that. We want that. So the solution is something quite easy. It's quite simple. Let me actually style this one. The border. I will keep it in border. I will put this one as a dashed line. Now let me change the style of the line. Dash one. I will put it in this one. Let me put it in purple. So to achieve this, to to fix this problem and make this one, let's do it right now. Let me put a small box here, div. There you go. You put a div here, and then on the div, you tell the inside the div, you tell the div, put the content like this, and there you go. So you actually have two elements actually. You have this picture and this div, and the div is the one that contains the title and the subtitle. So let's put that again in mobile as well. So because this is how the code is working. So behind the scenes, there is an invisible div without background color, without border, without anything. We actually have two elements. We have the image and the div. And these ones are aligned vertically. And inside the div, the title and the subtitle are also aligned vertically. And on desktop, the image and the invisible div are aligned left to right. And inside the div, nothing is happening. It's business as usual. The heading is taking the full width, and this one is taking the space as well. So this is what we're going to code right now. Let's do that. There you go. Let me put it here. And this time
I keep trying to go back as though this is a YouTube video, just like with my backwards arrow, so I can like rehear something that you just said.
So okay, I'm gonna use the responsive mode right now because it allows me to simulate the desktop without stretching the screen right now, because I really need the full attention in these two windows. So we have the CSS file for the intro and the index HTML. We are gonna start adding the first div that we were talking about. So we have this element that is the center. We already have a div. And now we are going to wrap it up, these two, inside a div, just like the image says. We're going to put this purple div. For this tutorial, I will literally use purple line, just so you can compare it to this one. But definitely, this is a bad name. Don't use this name, because in 6 months, you will not remember what the hell is a purple line. But okay, let's test it. We added a div. Nothing happened here, even if the div is already coded. But we know that a div by themselves doesn't do anything. But on mobile, we want to do something. Let me try it. First, let me see that let me confirm that the div exists by putting purple line border solid to px purple. Let me reload the page. Oh no, wait, we're on the website there. So yeah, this is a purple line, and let me put a dashed so we can see it just like we're seeing on the keynotes. So with this purple box, perfect. We know it exists, and actually I will not delete it. I will delete it once we finish the entire thingy and it's working. So we know that we have a div class called center. I will rename this one. We know that this class center, by the way, this class center, let me just change the background color so we can actually light purple, light blue. Just so we know that we are seeing which part of the code we are modifying right now. I want to change the name center because we're going to do a more complex example. It's not center on desktop. So this class name center doesn't represent the entire functionality of this div tag. If the entire design was center, the name was okay. We're talking about personal information. So personal info formation. So I will rename it the code break, and the code break because this class center doesn't exist anymore. I will change the name. There you go. And now on desktop, I will activate Flexbox. So introduction, personal information, open the tag. And here, just to see that we're working correctly, I will change the background color once again. I will put it pink. So let me see if it's working. Yeah, it's working. Perfect. That means that I need a little bit more space right now. Maybe like that. No, but it's too much. Let me use it enter responsive mode. Enter responsive mode. and I can drag the window to simulate a bigger screen size. So I'm here right now. Perfect. I will keep these background colors until the code is as the project is completed, so we can see what we're doing. So we are gonna change the display. Flex. Perfect. It's working, but something horrible happened. My image became distorted. How do we fix that? Let me see. I think that first we need to tell the avatar width 120 and height auto. No, that doesn't work. I can make a hack and do this. This is one way. But let me try let me see if I can remember the other way that is supposed to be the best one. Give me 1 second. There is a way to tell the elements that don't go overboard like this. Let me see how to do it. I think it's flex grow 0, 1. No. Let me open the resource one. Give me 1 second. If not, we'll go with the image. Oh, no. Yes, I know what is happening. Yeah, okay. The reason that it's distorted is because, yes, the image actually is this height. If I remove the width, this is the size of the image. So we actually need to tell the width to also be 120. Sorry, height. $120, perfect. And let me see how it's working on. Perfect. On mobile is perfect. We're about to finish, guys. We only need to align the content to the left here. So how do we do that? Personal information test align is center. Okay, and here, remember that we create the purple line. So we're also going to tell introduction to purple line, text align, left. There you go. You can actually also align this vertically. I think it's using Flexbox, but we are about to run out of time. So that one I will actually make you as a homework. If you go to the complete repository, you will see a code base that is 90% similar to this one. You will be able to. I will actually push this live code essential right now. Added the introduction. I will push it. You already know how to use Git. So if you go to the platform and download this project, you will see 2 branches: the master with the perfect design, and this one that is 90% almost similar. And let me remove this. Let me remove this one. Let me remove the purple line here. Let me remove the background. And there you go. And I also can tell, for example, the avatar to have a little inside this one, just to make a little bit of polish. Margin right, space bar, space big. There you go, and we have a space. So literally, I will send you as a sub homework. The homework entirely is do the entire CV, but as a sub homework, you need to learn how to make this one. And the trick is with Flexbox, check the master branch, and you will see the code over there. How to align these items center. You can actually use the personal information. You can help yourself by using background color, red. Sorry, no personal information in the purple line. You can learn how to make this one. The height doesn't go to the same height of the entire image. So it's the red box becomes smaller, and then you can apply flex align center on this one to center the items. So for example, let me see if I can I say, for example, 100 pixels. Yeah. And now you want to center these elements. I think it's align intents center. Oh, actually, that's it. Let's put it 80 here. So yeah, we actually just finished the project. Congratulations, guys. This is the final project. Let me just push this one. Added the fix for the image header. If you go, by the way, if you go to the master branch, you're probably gonna see a more elegant solution. You can compare the two and understand the differences. Now that we finished this one, we can start talking about the project, the first project. So let's go to that one. By the way, this was today's class. I really was naive enough to think that I can finish the live coding session in 1 hour and then go to this slide. So this slide will move to tomorrow. And but the homework is for today. So let's go to the very last slide of JavaScript. Oh, by the way, don't be afraid about JavaScript. The CSS slides was 39 and the HTML one was 38. 3.8 and 3.9, and this one is only 19, including 3 slides for homework. So just the JavaScript part is quite short, to be honest. So don't worry about that. We're gonna finish it tomorrow without any issues. Start and finish tomorrow. So, well, there is no expand on your knowledge because we didn't see JavaScript. But homework. Finish and send me the files of your CV using the design features learned today. Remember, you could have advanced your project yesterday with a couple of things that we learned and just apply the responsiveness and organization projects and variables based on today's design. So there is no excuse to say, hey, I cannot finish the homework, the CV today because there is a lot. Yesterday you wrote, on Monday you wrote the HTML. And yesterday you could have started with the fonts and some design choices and just need to finish the 3-column design system, then fix the header part, or refactor the project a little bit based on today's learnings.
Is it okay to send you a GitHub repository link instead of files?
Sorry, can you go again, Elena?
Is it okay to send you the link to the repository on GitHub instead of files?
Oh yeah, of course, yes. The only reason that I use the send them the zip file is to be a little bit more chill. But yes, if you send me a repository, perfect. That's so much better for me. And actually, I will appreciate that.
Do you need the files, or do you need the, or like, can we not just send you the Firebase site link if we've uploaded it?
If you want to send me the link in Firebase, it's okay. But remember what you're seeing on the screen right now. I think that right now you're seeing the full screen instead of the half of the screen.
Yeah.
Firebase is not obligatory. So if you want to send me the link in Firebase, cool. But please understand, we have a deadline at 5 o'clock because we're going to have the optional lecture at that time. If you're struggling to configure Firebase, remember the conversation we had with Elena one time. If you are struggling and you have a deadline, forget about Firebase and just send me the link. The files.
Sure.
If you can use Firebase and it's not making any problems with you, send me the link. But it's not necessary. And please, I repeat it for the 40 of you. It's not obligatory to send me a Firebase link. You just can send me the files as a zip file or a Git repository, whatever is easier. For this one, I don't expect this a super complex website, upload website or Git repository. I'm happy with a zip file for this particular project. I see a chat question. I will open it in a second. And that's the homework for today. And now the first project, the one that we are actually going to grade and review quite detailedly, is for Friday. This Friday you have 2 days. I will actually move the deadline to 20 hours because 70 is too few of the time. Actually, because I will review it myself. This one is not going to be reviewed by your mentors. The other one is going to be reviewed by your mentors. So this one I will be more lean because we actually lose almost 1 day. So I will give you a couple of more hours, and the deadline is for Friday at the end of the day. So send me the files. I will not accept files on Saturday. Send me the files or links by Friday. The instructions, I will unlock it literally right now, but we're gonna review it a little bit right now. The instructions are in the case study. The case study is DNS style because I didn't copy and paste all the emails that I went back and forth with the client. I just made a resume because trust me, if we went with all the emails, it was like 4 emails just to reach the conclusion that we need a small website. It will be like 8 pages, like the case study in software engineering. I don't want to make you suffer so much. So I actually make the case a little bit easier, but it's still tricky. It still has the tricks that Dina does. You don't need JavaScript at all for this one, and you don't require Firebase. So let's review the project together. 1 second. Or you just want to read it on your own? Do you want to review it with me right now, or you can do it on your own? Yes or no?
Yeah, with you.
Okay.
You can review.
So this is the project. We are sharing on the full screen. Okay. The company is Monami, but to be honest, you can change the logo and create your own website for your own cupcake. But it has to be in the same theme, because I want to see that you're applying the concepts quite well. Because if you choose to make a website for another thing, you will start changing the topic, the layout, and then I don't know if you are applying, if you are making changes because are design choices or because you don't know how to do it as it was taught in the course. So that's the reason that we need a little bit of standardization. So, well, the client's Monami. She sells cakes on Instagram, cupcakes and wedding cakes. Remember the tricks that I was teaching you on. The tricks that I were teaching you on software engineering. Use highlighters, because this is a keyword that we probably need to highlight, and this is different, so we can highlight it as well. She's interested in having a website to have a more presence on the web, so she can customize information, blah, 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 blah. After multiple email conversations back and forth, blah, 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 the client decided to start with a small website instead of an e-commerce site, because that would require backend coding, and that's out of the scope of our project. The website must work on phones on computers, responsive design, what you just saw today. The website must have 4 pages. I actually highlighted it for you guys, but if I haven't highlighted, I will do something like this in your case. I will say, oh, homepage 1, about, 2, products, 3, contact, 4, and I will use a different color for this one. So for example, I will use, I don't know, pink, pink as well. Now the product page, highlighted, must be divided into 2 categories. Cupcakes, again, you can see repeated words. You can start organize yourself and see. You need at least 8 cupcakes in the product page.
Excuse me, Adirudu. Is it a team project, or we need to do it individually?
Individually.
Okay.
I need a HTML file for each one of you, but I have 0 problems if you start speaking about the case inside your groups. So for example, if you want to share your page with your highlights and speak about the organization of the project, you are totally okay. I don't mind that at all. But the project needs to be delivered individually. But that's nice question, by the way. Thank you so much. Then, okay, yeah, due to time, I will highlight the same this one. Each product, again, this is important. Each product must have a picture, highlighted, a new color, because this is a new requirement, title, and a price. I will put it in another color. And product is related to the product page, so I will put it. I will not put it in bold, but I will put it in red because it's related to the product. In this way, I am speaking about the product page, and here I am talking about products. And each product must have a picture, a title, and a price. The header must have a link for all the pages. And where are the pages? You can see the colors. The footer must have links to Instagram and Facebook. The footer also must have a link to contact you via email. You can use the software engineering email instead of the Monami one. Actually, I will not give you the Monami email at all. The The header and the footer must be the same across the 4 pages. That's interesting. Optional task. I try to make it bold, but it's already bold. So I will make it even bigger, like 64. Optional. Don't stress about it. If you don't finish this by Thursday or Friday morning, don't even think about these ones. The client wants a contact form to send emails to the Software Development Academy, well, redacted, and the client wants her users to subscribe to the email list, so it's requesting to create an additional section in the home page or inside the footer. There is a couple of hints for the project, because I am not that evil. I just could have done this and good luck, but I am not that of a dick. So I actually want to help you a little bit. You can use the logotype from this one, the resources here. Perfect. Tip number 1. You can use her color scheme. You can see that she uses I call this a mint color. It's not blue, it's not green, it's mint. There is like a pink, and this is not black, it's a dark brown, and this is cyan. So you can use, you have colors here. Or you can use a website like colors.co. I think that CIF also share a link to another resource. So you can use whatever you want to pick colors. You don't need to invent colors, nor I will judge you by if the color combinations are pretty or ugly. I will judge you by the quality of the HTML by themselves and the quality of the CS code itself, not by the colors that you pick. You can use any social media accounts for any bakery, but here are their links in Spanish. I know they're in Spanish, but we only care about the links. So you just copy this one and you never need to read this one at all. And the same with the Facebook. For the text information, the web page, you have 2 options. You can copy and paste any website information or invent something on your own. I don't care. Or there is information translated from Spanish to English using Google Translate. So feel free to correct any grammar mistakes. In the end of this document, there is a little bit of text. You can copy this one. The product page doesn't have text at all. It's just only about to show the pictures. Now, let's keep going to point number 5. For the products, you can browse her Instagram account to copy the pictures over there, or you can use a website like Unsplash. Unsplash is a nice resource, guys. You can, oh wait, I actually wrote it wrong. I will fix that one. You can use Unsplash. Let me copy this link. Let me fix it. Command K, please. Okay, there you go. Open link. Yeah, you can use Unsplash and look for Cupcake and grab pictures. Oh, there is a lot of pictures. Remember, we need 8, and the same with the cakes. So you can use these ones or the ones from her. I don't care. Make it faster. Use fonts to obtain Google Fonts to obtain nice fonts. I will not evaluate this. I will not take points for you if you don't use Google Fonts. But come on, guys, it's not that hard. And you saw at the beginning of this live code session that as soon as I put in the fonts, the project was like a 90% done. So it's a nice to have feature. I got a question about this in the break. Don't use emojis. They look cool in an Instagram post on super nerdy on HTML exercises, but they don't look professional on a website. So don't use emojis. Don't use emojis. Don't use emojis at all. Doesn't look professional. And we are using real case studies for real clients. So I expect real results. Thus, I don't use emojis at all. To the point that I will consider, for example, if I see a perfect project with emojis, I will say, okay, it's good. But if I see a project that is bad and also use emojis, shit, I will actually tear down that one quite hard. So don't use emojis. For the extra task, plural task, you can look at how to integrate these solutions using MailChimp. You can research this one. It's free, but require additional account. This is an extra task. Please remember, it's optional. So don't do that until you finish the entire website.
Don't you need backend for MailChimp?
Sorry?
Don't you need backend for MailChimp?
this is the fun part. Let me read. Oh, I didn't read the entire paragraph. For the extra task, I will read it now. You can look at how to integrate a ready use solution like MailChimp. Where is MailChimp? MailChimp allows you to create this kind of forms without having a backend knowledge. So it will, you can use MailChimp to create this kind of forms without setting up a server at all.
Cool.
Yeah, it's a super cool resource. You can look it up. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's an optional one, remember, guys. Now, a question, because the client is asking for a mobile phone. This is not me that I told her, hey, you can use we can build a mobile phone. No, she asked from the beginning, I want that my website work well on phones and also computers. Her words, not mine. So you're used to seeing in mobile websites a header like this one that when you can click here, it opens a menu, right? You have seen that on your mobile phone all the time, right? Yeah. These ones can be done with advanced CSS or with JavaScript, but because we don't want JavaScript in this project, because we are not teaching about JavaScript in this one, you can get by with this one. You can create a small header where you put the logo type. Well, you can put the logo type wherever you want. And in the next line, you can put the links like this. And this, by the way, this is 320 pixels. So I designed this to fit well on an iPhone, and it looks quite well. So you can do that. Don't stress about that. This one, if you want to do this as an extra, cool. But please, I don't know why people get so frustrated and expect that because somebody actually delivered the extra one, everybody needs to deliver the extra ones. So please don't get frustrated. Don't think about this one. If you finish the extra optional task and you still have time, maybe start researching about this topic. But right now, don't focus about that one. And well, this is the same information that I was explaining. This is the text that you can use. There is a little bit of text. You can add more text on your own, or you can leave this one. By the way, her real website is really, really short on text. So literally, she ended up having a website like that. I know that you don't know Spanish at all. Don't worry. But when you can see that there is few text at all, there you go. This is the website. I will delete the website because I don't want to copy the website. I want that you create your own layouts. Any questions?
When you say that you need several pages, do you mean like you need an anchor tag and it loads to a new page on a blank page, or?
Yeah. But don't use the blank one, because if you open the blank one in your own website, it will start opening tabs like crazy. So use the property itself in this particular scenario. But nice question. Christian, I think that you are trying to ask something, but I don't see anything.
No, I just said nope.
Okay.
Because of the long pause.
So I will update the project and I will unlock it right now. So yeah, that's it. Remember, CVito for today, no excuses, because you could have advanced a lot yesterday and just do the finishing touches today at 5 o'clock. And this one by literally the end of the day on Friday. If you do an ICB, you can actually, you make it quite well organized. You can use that as a template to organize your project, as this one, by the way. We are going to have an additional lecture today. This is the first one. Let me go to the next slide. The first one is about user interaction design. Is about because I haven't unlocked this slide yet. The ones that want to attend this lecture, take a screenshot right now, Command-Shift-3, so you can read the topics, because we need, for preparations, you need to read these 4 topics beforehand. Remember, it's optional. Your CV takes priority. So please remember, it's an optional lecture. We're gonna teach you a little bit about a tool called Figma that allows you to do user interface design. And I think that this can help you a little bit if you are focused on the front as a front-end developer. It doesn't mean that you need to be a perfect graphic designer, but at least teach you a little bit about how to organize projects in a visual way. and maybe it will help as a communication tool when you reach the group project and you need to develop a website across a group of teammates, and everybody says, oh, we're going to build this website, blah, 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 with this feature, and everybody's speaking, but nobody actually is imagining the same thing at the same time. So somebody can take the lead and say, okay, I think that this feature can look like this, and everybody can give opinions. Oh no, better like this, blah, 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 blah. So it's a nice tool to have, but it's not obligatory. So yeah, optional lecture at 5 o'clock, but I expect all the TV links by that. So yeah, that will be it for today. See you tomorrow officially. And the ones that want to see this course, I see you today. Please, if you're going to attend the optional lecture, create an account with Figma. That's on the slide that I just showed you right now. I will share the slide in the general group as well. Yep, see you tomorrow for everybody. And whoever wants to go later today, see you later. So bye.
See you later.
Thank you.
Thanks.